Yo, what's up? My name is Ken, and welcome to the Overall Drip Experience podcast.
Not only is she a model and a tattoo artist, but she's also a cancer survivor and a mother. She started off in Lawrence, Massachusetts with just a goal and a vision, and now she's part of the Black Ink crew based out of Brooklyn, New York. Drip fam, I want you guys to give a warm welcome to Kim. What's going on, Kim?
Hey, what's up?
Talk to me. so, so for those that are watching that don't really know who you are, give the audience a little backstory on how you grew up as a child and what ultimately led you on the path that you are today.
Well, it's a long list. I've been an artist my whole life. That's like my safe space, my go-to. I didn't have necessarily an easy life to begin with. I had turmoil with, stuff at home. For anybody that's of Spanish descent, understands.
What kind of turmoil though? Like, what do you mean? You don't need to get too specific.
Turmoil in the sense of, parents and stuff that are growing up and learning, who they are within themselves and trying to raise a child within poverty and,
Parents that are basically figuring it out while they're
for
raising
themselves. Exactly.
Okay.
Things that we can only understand once we get to a certain age. But, I grew up basically in the hood and, and didn't have much, and my parents did what they could. You know what I mean? And it was a separate household, and it was me and my sister. So it was a house full of females, LGBT friendly at that.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what ultimately led you on the path you are today, though? So like, at a young age, did you, like, were there signs that showed you that like, I want to be an artist, tattoo artist, or a model? Like, was there anything that showed you that at a young age?
It wasn't necessarily signs. It was things that made me feel fulfilled.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it was always an outlet. If I wasn't in the best mind frame or stressed out or even some type of loss of attention, it was usually creating. I
So,
would
like,
draw.
okay,
I
drawing.
would paint. I did makeup for about 10 years, and I started at 13. Started modeling at 13. Apparently I know how to pose. But it was always some type of creation. I got into doing hair. I love interior design. Anything that consists of putting things together and making it something beautiful, it's who I am.
Okay. So let's take us to high school. You were obviously creative. You did your thing. What were you doing in high school, like, to build the vision that you have today? Like, was besides creating and drawing, like, was there anything else?
Influences. As a kid, you always grow up saying, I want to be like this person, or I want to be like that person. It was always a drive to be on that same level. Like, I want to really be like this, and I want to do it the same way, or I want to do it my own way, and I start creating these
Who were your influences?
crazy ideas. Well, as far as tattooing specifically, Black ink was huge
Black
for
ink.
me. Yes, like growing up, as soon as Black ink came out, I was like, oh my god, I love this. They're, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
regular people that are on this platform to show how raw, like, life in the hood is, and how hungry people are to make it, and you know what I mean, like the raw personalities, and they were creating all these beautiful pieces that people get to walk around with every day.
For those that don't know what Black Ink is or what they do, can you give a little backstory? Like,
Black ink is a TV show, and every single one is an artist in their own way, whether it's a tattoo artist or even, receptionist. Everybody had this very captivating personality that made you grow some type of attachment to each character,
Okay.
within and it was just very relatable. It
So they
was
were just like
something-
regular people, you'd say.
Yeah, they were regular people that had this hunger. They weren't being shown to be, you know, these perfect people that you have to like.
You usually see on
they
TV.
have the best. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like it wasn't typical. It was new and it was fresh, and you know, it resonated a lot.
Resonated a lot with
within
you.
Me. Yeah.
And for you to be part of that, how did that feel? Like,
It-
before you tell me how it feels, tell us about the process that you had to go through to be part of your dream job.
Well, for beginners, as a person individually, I had to really go through some very humbling experiences
Okay.
to be able to think past a certain point, you know? When I was younger, it was very like now in the moment type of thing. And once I went through what I went through, it opened my eyes that showed me I had a purpose.
Okay.
There was something massive that I have to do with myself and with my life before I leave this earth. You know, so being a mother is definitely at the top of the
At the
bracket
top of the
when
list.
it comes to that. Yeah.
Okay.
That she's everything. But then within my artistic abilities, it pushed me to do more. I was doing makeup for the longest time, and it got to a point where I wasn't necessarily feeling fulfilled. It felt like a job.
Okay, so you didn't feel the passion within your work.
No,
Okay.
I had it for a very long time, and then it just got to a point where I craved more. It wasn't getting me to explore my artistic abilities the way that I wanted to. It
Okay.
became very like, okay, I get hired to do this, and if it was this for this amount of time, I'm not really exploring other abilities within that. You know what
I
I
can
mean?
see
It made
that,
me
yeah.
feel stagnant. So then I went through a super dark time when I was healing from going through cancer.
When you were going through cancer.
Yes.
What kind of cancer did you go through?
It's called acute lymphoblastic leukemia, ALL for
Mhm.
short, but it's a form of a blood cancer or blood disease. And I was 6 months pregnant
So you had
when I got
cancer
diagnosed.
while you were pregnant.
Yes.
That's crazy. What is going through your mind? Like let's tap into that moment. What is going through your mind while you have cancer and while you're pregnant? What do you think about while you're going through that situation?
Honestly, in that moment, I was on survival mode.
Survival, okay.
Yeah, I didn't have all that time to cry and feel sad about it, you know? It was like, all right, I would have my subtle moments where I would break down and feel some type of way, and then I was like, all right, you know, what are we doing next? Like, you know, and while going through it, I had like so many complications. Like, they used to have to put chemotherapy into my spine.
Into your spine.
Yeah, because it had to get to my brain. Because
Jesus.
whatever chemo goes into your body doesn't penetrate
Mm-hmm.
the head. So, you know, one of those procedures went wrong and it caused the bleeding in my brain. So it wasn't just the cancer alone. Then I have that complication.
Did you need any donors?
Yes, I did.
How'd you go about finding the donors?
It was extremely difficult. They put me into this pool. I was a part of a waiting list. While I was waiting, I was going through my treatments, and they found someone in Brazil, and this person wasn't responding. So, you know, we were kind of like at a point where it's like, okay, who do we decide to use as a donor? Do we talk to your family? So they started testing my sister. She was
Do you get put at the top of the list though because you were pregnant? It's like were you a priority for them?
I was
Okay.
I was a priority because of my case. It was considered rare because I was pregnant and I was 21 years old, and the cancer that I had is common in children less than
10%.
10 years old.
10 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
So typically the type of cancer that I went through is common in children from 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, for it to have exploded the way that it did when it did, it was rare. It was unexpected, especially with another life being involved.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that you got over that is just Now you know you can get over anything, basically. Like, over anything. Like, what is worse? Not worse, but basically, what is worse than, cancer and childbirth? Like, you could get over anything now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that way, which is what brings me back to, what I was saying about having a purpose in
Mhm.
life, not just my daughter, but going through that specifically allowed me to mentally create this future that isn't common. Like, the goal that I have is something that's so, like, I'm so hungry for it, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I have something to say to the world, like, I want to leave a legacy behind, and I will leave that through my child, and also by just bringing some type of highlight to what I went through and overcoming.
Do you give a majority of the credit to that dark time?
Yes.
Like your purpose?
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do.
So if that specific situation didn't happen, what do you think you'd be focused on now? Would you be focused on the same thing, or would your life be drastically different?
I don't think I would have been
As hungry?
in the mindset that
As
I'm
hungry,
in
right?
now. Yeah, no, I would have probably been
Somewhat
in a
stagnant.
really bad place.
A bad place.
Yeah, for sure.
Elaborate.
Before I got sick, before even getting pregnant, it was just, I wasn't doing anything with myself. I was just, I was working as a bartender. Money was coming easy, money was going easy. I didn't have no type of responsibility as a person. Wasn't being accountable for myself.
Okay.
Where, getting sick, it was like, okay, now you're not only responsible for yourself, but you're responsible for this person. And this person went through hell and back to be here along with you. So
Mhm.
you can't just give them a mediocre life.
For sure.
You have to manifest some shit. Like, you have to really put in work to be an influence.
For sure.
Not just for her, but for so many other people
Mhm.
that deserve to be a part of that.
It's crazy. That's insane. I mean, for you to like actually overcome that, I'm still like, I know like I'm still talking about it, but I'm still mind blown. It's like you really went through cancer while you were pregnant. Wow.
Yeah, it was definitely blessing in disguise.
Okay. So, what advice can you give to the people that want to do what you do? So you're a tattoo artist. You
Yes.
got into the Black Ink crew. Like, what advice do you have for the upcoming tattoo artists? That are aspiring to do what you want to do.
Do it. Go for it. Life is so short, and whatever dream it is that you think in your head that is completely impossible, it's really not. You have to put yourself in that position to live that position. And it's not an easy path, but what they say is what is worth it doesn't come easy.
Come easy, for sure.
And what comes easy isn't all that worth it. So just hustle, be hungry, wake up every day with a plan, with an idea, write shit down, have a set short-term goals, set long-term goals, and primarily don't listen to people that don't think as far as you do.
Okay. Let's talk about your mindset though. So like, I know you're obviously hungry, like you're really hungry, I can see that. But besides the hunger, what other, attributes or what other things do you believe in terms of mindset that you need to have for you to like encourage success? If that makes sense. So like, obviously hunger is one.
Yeah.
There's discipline, there's
Yes.
persistence. So
Yes.
like, in terms of things like that.
I would say patience to be number one.
Patience is number one.
Yeah.
I preach that a lot on this podcast, actually.
Yes.
It's really funny that you say that, because I believe that people have the talent, especially in the city, but they don't have the patience. They're so like Lawrence. I'm telling you guys are so talented, but nobody ever wastes their turn once they see that they're talented, people in Lawrence, or not only Lawrence, but inner cities in general, they want to quit or they get too cocky. Instead of, when you see that you're doing something good, you should be, going harder. They start to get complacent. They start to get stagnant, and they lack patience. They try to rush their process, basically.
They lack patience and they lack self-love.
Self-love. Okay.
Yeah. Because the way I look at it, and I'm not, by all means, I am not perfect. You know what I mean? I have my insecurities, but you have to have this type of I believe in myself kind of vibe to be able to excel despite what people say or what the stereotypes are, or what's common or what's in the now. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be, it's tunnel vision. And for you to have that, you have to literally believe in yourself. And a lot of people don't believe in themselves.
I completely agree, because meeting all these people, because I'm really extroverted, so I go out in the city and I meet a lot of people, and that's something I really notice. A lot of people aren't as confident as they make it seem.
No.
And they really deep down, they're really hurting inside, and they're really trying to impress people, and that's how I figure it out. So when I'm around somebody and I see they're trying to impress me without even knowing me, that kind of shows me it's this person is trying to hide something. This person is trying to, they're trying to show me that they're better than what they actually are, instead of being authentic, instead of being genuine. They want to make themselves look bigger, and that's always a red flag for me. When I'm around people like that, I start to fade away and get away from them, because it's I can't trust somebody like that. If you can't be genuine around me or authentic around me, and I don't even know you, what makes me think that we can have a genuine relationship?
I mean, so you said you see how I said that patience is number one.
Yeah.
I would say number two is understanding. Really understanding.
Okay.
People.
Okay.
And accepting what is. You know what I mean? Because you can have a closed mind. Let's say that you're this closed-minded person who's super cocky, super arrogant. I'm gonna still be me. You know what I mean? What you're trying to reflect should not be able to penetrate me. But if I have some type of insecurity, that's gonna feed into me. You know what I mean? And that's how a lot of people get ego-driven or lost, or you see that all these trends happen because the next person wants to be like the next person and wants to be like the next person, and then they all look the same. They're all wearing the same shit.
It's literally trend. Yeah.
Exactly. It's so when you spot those original people that all have this platform, it's for a reason. It's because they stay true to that.
Gotta clench onto them.
Exactly.
Gotta be around them. That's another thing I preach as well. It's you have to be around people that inspire you. You have to be around people that are creative. You can't expect to be, this big person while being around people that aren't really doing anything for themselves. You get what I'm saying?
You are who you
hang around with. If you're, like I said, if you're the fifth person in the group and you're hanging around with bums, you're going to be the fifth bum. If you're the fifth person in the group and you're hanging around with artistic, creative, positive people, you're going to be the fifth artistic, creative, positive person.
Yeah, but you also have to be an influence. Because, for example, we have family members that we know that they could be doing more for themselves. You know what I mean? And obviously you have to create your separation, and you have to do what you got to do for you, but always be mindful of that person, and when you're around them, when you talk to them, elevate them.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
You got to be the light.
Yeah, don't leave anyone in the dark. Just because you make it doesn't mean anyone else doesn't make it. If you know that this person has a great ability at doing fashion, and you happen to become a millionaire, I'm the type of person that I would invest in you, and I'll push you. Even if I have to make you live with me and make you do this shit every day.
Exactly, yeah.
But if I really want to see you doing great, I'm going to make it happen.
For me, though, I see that perspective, but I can't just, because I used to struggle with trying to help everybody. That's where I kind of lost myself in a sense. So for me, it's more I need to see potential.
I'm an empath. I'm a huge empath.
You're an empath,
and
okay.
It's something that I'm working on. I'm trying my hardest to work on it, because I'm the type of person that I will cry with you. You know what I mean? Your pain is my pain, and it sucks. Because then I'm all drained and shit, but...
I mean, it's good that you know that, though, about yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they just can't control their emotions, and they genuinely just don't know.
Yeah, no, I have my moments. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, yeah, but... I'm definitely the crybaby. I'm the person who's gonna break down before even throwing a punch type of thing. It's just,
It is what it is.
yeah, it is what it is. It's what happens. But I definitely agree. It trying to help everybody out is something I can
You literally,
relate to.
you lose yourself. It's like,
it's crazy.
for me personally, like I feel like I have a gift in the sense where like I can see potential in people before they see it in themselves. So that's so like when I'm seeing so like when I'm looking at somebody who's, you know, insecure about certain things, but I see their strengths, I try to, you know, influence their strengths or try to like build them up.
That's what I was trying to say. I don't mean like literally like, you know, I'm gonna force it on you. I have to see the motivation.
The motivation, yeah.
If I see the motivation, I'm definitely gonna do my best. You know,
Sure.
to give you your best chance if it's in my ability to do so. You know, but
I agree.
that's the
Like
why
I
we're
said,
working hard to be able to do that, to be that voice.
Exactly. Nah, I was just putting it out there because I know there's other people that, you know, struggle with the same things, like trying to help people to the point where they literally lose themselves. So that's something I want you guys to avoid for sure.
Mental health.
If you
Number
see,
one is like, I went through cancer and all that great stuff, but way before that, mental health was such a big thing for me. Like, I would get into these dark spaces and say the craziest things, and like, you know what I mean? Like, mental health is super real, super duper duper real.
you gotta take it serious. You have to
Yeah.
really take it serious. And like that also comes down to a little bit like treating people like, you know, kindly or whatever, because you never really know what somebody's going through. At the end of the day, like a lot of people, like I said, they go out into the real world and like what they show you is really a mask. It's not really them. So they're really hiding. They're really crying inside, but in reality, they're gonna show you happiness. They're gonna show you, you know, a whole bunch of things that aren't really them. So at the end of the day, you gotta be cautious and be wary. Like, yo, this person might be actually going through it.
Yeah.
You can say something that could literally change their life for the better, or you can say something that can put their mood down and possibly change their life for the worse.
Yeah. I go by the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. And by that, I'm not saying that I am perfect and that I haven't had my flaws, but that's exactly the reason why I say it, because I have learned from my mistakes, and I've also experienced people that have had their own mistakes with me, or things that have had their mistakes with me, and understanding the pain really puts a lot of things into perspective.
For sure.
You know, you start thinking like, damn, I felt this kind of way. I don't want to make anybody feel this way, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like I feel like you need to go through it though. Like you need to like, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. So you do need to put yourself in that position or situation for you to actually genuinely understand what somebody's going through.
Yeah, that's very true. But there's people that have been through their things and they still, you know, but like you said, it's experience.
But
eventually it gets to a point where you absorb enough to get it.
Exactly. But I feel like it hits everybody different because there's people that, you know, they go through certain negative situations and instead of, you know, compassion and empathy, they get bitter. They start to spew out negativity. They start to try to make you feel down because of how they feel within themselves. So there's people like that as well.
I feel like that's a part of the cycle.
You feel?
In a lot of ways. It's definitely a debate. You know what I mean? There's people that gain that mentality and they stay there. And then there's also people that are there out of ignorance, just lack of knowledge. You know what I mean? But there's also a lot of people that are going through cycles and they go through traumatic experiences that put them and their mind into shock, and they get the way that they get, you know? And they eventually, I say this because I feel like I can relate to that.
You can relate to it, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, like I said, mental health has been something that I've had to battle my whole life. And as a kid and then growing up, I got to this point in my life where I felt very entitled. And I felt very like, you know, me, you know? Like, it was always about me. I was super aggressive and like super just intense as a person. And it took an experience to humble me down and show me you are literally just like everybody else. Just because you went through trauma, other people went through trauma, and they're not treating you the way you're treating them. You know?
I can see that.
So that was my portion of the cycle. Then I was like, all right, well, in order for me to experience good people, I need to be a good person. Granted, you're going to come around people that are going through their own part of their cycle, but you got to always stay like you know, true to that.
True to that, for sure.
But it's experience.
It's experience for sure.
For
I
sure.
agree with that. I agree with that to an extent. Because I feel like from my gatherings, from meeting people, I feel like there's two types of people in this world.
Yeah.
There's the optimist and there's the pessimist.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to, in my personal humble opinion, fall into the optimist. And then there's also the people that are pessimists. So like with optimism, you can see the positive in every situation.
Yeah.
With pessimist, it takes you a while. You see the negative before you see the positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like what you said, like with the cycle, I feel like pessimists, they stay stuck in that negative cycle longer because of their mindset.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Optimists, it's like it takes us, we might get to the cycle, but it will take us a long time to actually get there because we don't look at the world in that way. Because there's people, like, for example, pessimists, when something good happens to them, they're praying up to the sky, the Lord. They're like, why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. Optimists are like, I deserve this. This is my blessing.
Yeah.
I've been working for this. I've been putting out positivity. I deserve this. Pessimists never feel worthy, in my personal opinion. Because I've been around pessimists, I've been around optimists, and I happen to be optimist, so I see the difference. It's like they never, and I also feel like pessimists sometimes struggle with self-love, like you said. They struggle with seeing the value in themselves, so on and so forth. But I feel like that can also change, but I'm saying...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It can also change.
I've
it can shift.
definitely experienced both. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it at all. Like, I went through my negative mentality, and, you know, I feel like everyone has their days.
There's days in this cycle, for sure. Yeah.
So I have my days where I'm like, oh, you know, like... But then it's quickly changed for me.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm maybe like in 20 minutes, I'll be like, all right, well, what are we doing next?
All right, so the hustle.
Yes.
Like, you're obviously a hustler. I see it. We all see it. How hard was it as a female to get into the tattoo industry? How hard was it for you to get actually noticed? Like, for people to start respecting your craft in a way where it's like, I want Kin.
I feel like, I feel like, honestly, people in the industry, people that, you know, are definitely worth looking up to, have been through it worse. Because I feel like, you know, back in time, things were a little tougher than they are now. But for me personally, it was a little tough, kind of having something that is male dominated look at me as a female artist and think to themselves, I would let her tattoo me too. You know? Like, that's what that spark was for me. Having other tattoo artists or other people that have been around these amazing artists and think that my work is worthy enough to be a part of their canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit up so many different artists to try to be their apprentice, and I got rejected, like super rejected.
All part of the process.
I was even told, you know, that me expressing that I had, you know, a tattoo page with my work on it was somehow cocky.
Cocky.
Yes. When I was just trying to, you know, like, express my work and show, you know, what I had to offer, so they would be able to see that my work had its potential. And it wasn't seen that way for whatever reason, because then again, perspectives. But
all subjective.
Eventually I got to a point where I was like, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna make it happen. So I stopped thinking from a local perspective, and I was like, how far can I really get? I want to see how far I can get. Like, that's it. Yeah, let's take it there. So I started hitting up a bunch of different artists. Like, even Drake has a DM. If he ever sees this and checks it out, it's there.
When he sees it.
When he sees
words
it.
of affirmation.
Yes.
When he sees this.
He'll realize there's a DM in there with my name. And I just told everybody, hey, I'd love to tattoo you. And, you know, some responded. And I got to tattoo them. And then eventually I, you know, came across C's because I was following him since forever. And I was like, hey, I think I'd be a great fit in your shop.
What? So you just DM'd him?
DM'd him. I reached out to him. And
how long did it take for him to get back to you, though?
A few hours.
Few hours?
Yeah. I hit him up late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And
so was he actively looking for a new a new person for the shop, or?
From my understanding, he, I guess, has been brainstorming the idea of kind of creating like a program for new coming artists. You know what I mean, and putting them to the test. Because still to this day, every Sunday we have a test where we have to fulfill a certain style, a certain tattoo, you know, a bunch of different things, and bring them along into the career path.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's expanding. He has a bunch of shops everywhere, and he's only gonna grow more. So,
sure.
Yeah, so he's definitely on board.
Okay. So, I know everybody has their own different style of doing tattoos. How do you yourself, like, what do you start with?
How do I identify?
Like, give, like, the audience a little bit of your process. Like, you don't have to give them too much, but, like, tell them, like, say, like, I came into your shop and I was like, I want to get a skull on my bicep or something like that. How would you go about, like, asking me how I wanted to get done? Like, how would you go about, like, for example, let's do a little role playing.
Okay.
So, what's going on, Ken? I need a tattoo.
Okay, so the way that I would go about that,
we're gonna role play though.
With you. Oh, you want me to role play? Like
Yeah. We're gonna role play. So,
Alright.
So what's going on, Ken? I need a tattoo.
All right. What are you looking for?
I want a skull on my bicep.
All right. On your bicep, which arm?
I'd say the right one is pretty big.
On the inside, the outside?
I'll do the inside.
All right. About how big are you imagining it?
About 3 inches long, 2 inches wide.
Now you gotta show me, because right now my math is super off.
about right here, around this section right here.
About this section?
Yeah.
All right. How are you imagining it? What do you see around it? Do you see it just standing by itself?
I see a little bit of smoke, to be honest.
A little bit of smoke. Do you see it being like realistic? You want it to be like a scary skull with depth in it?
Scary, yeah. I want it really scary.
All right. So I'm gonna let you know. These are my hourly prices.
Mm-hmm.
I would charge you by the hour because it is a very intricate piece. My outtake on it, I feel like some realism would be super fire.
Super fire, okay.
Yeah, the smoke is a really good idea. Eventually, we should keep adding to it, and you turn it into a sleeve, because that's when, you know.
A sleeve?
Yeah. Cause
damn, I never even thought about that.
You're going to be my walking canvas. I want people to have something worth seeing.
So you're just trying to draw me. So you're just trying to draw me and shit.
Fuck it, let's do it. That would definitely be my
That was fine. That was dope. What's your favorite thing about doing tattoos? Like, what's your favorite thing about being a tattoo artist?
I love causing pain. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I'm cutting that out.
There's something super mesmerizing about it. You know, first off, just the human body alone, like body modification is something that was illegal. Mm-hmm. You know, like a tattoo artist, like back in the day, that was an illegal act. You can get in trouble for doing that.
For real?
And it was just art.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? That's like, you know, graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Graffiti now is way more accepted. You know, like people see the value in it. But back then, it was vandalism. And still to this day, it's still considered vandalism.
Yeah.
You know? So, and to me, I would look at it, or you would walk past it and be like, that's just fire.
That's fire.
Yeah, that's fire. Like,
for sure.
But, you know, a lot of people don't see it that way, and it's came such a long way that you can put something on someone's body and it's there forever. They grow old with it. You are a part of them.
Yep.
You're leaving an imprint. You know, it's like engraving your name into a stone wall. Like, that stays there forever. And some people, you know, granted, they cover it up or whatever the case may be. That's at their own personal choice. But if you are putting your heart and soul into this piece, it'll definitely reflect. And people typically grow, you know, love for what it is. And at that point, it's not just, you know, some nice ink. It's like it means something.
Has a deep meaning for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's why I call myself the ink therapist.
The ink therapist.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that.
I feel like I've had somebody tell me that, actually. Because I'm very fluid. I could talk with people. You know, I'm a great ear. I can listen and, you know.
You should put that in your bio for sure.
Yeah, it's on my bio.
It's on your bio.
It's on my bio.
The ink therapist.
You didn't look at my page. I didn't look at my page.
Which one? KINDEE's
the
ink?
Therapist, yes. KINDEE's ink.
KINDEE's ink, okay.
Yeah. But someone once told me oh, you're like my ink therapist, and I'm like, hmm,
That's fire.
that's catchy. That's
Yeah,
super
yeah,
catchy.
yeah.
But I liked it because I see that my family, my aunt specifically, she used to tell me you should get into becoming a therapist, like social work and stuff like that, because I'm good at talking to people.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Definitely
so
see that.
yeah, that for sure. But that's it. That is the special part for me, like the relationship and the bond that I create with every single one of my clients.
With the clients.
It's definitely love. I would say it's my love language in a way. Art is my love language.
Art is your love language.
Yeah.
Not tattoo.
Well, tattoo specifically is something I'm super passionate about, but just the fact that I'm able to create and it's on you forever is what makes tattooing super special.
And that trust has to be just on another level.
Immaculate.
Like
it has to be out of this world.
Like for somebody to like for you to meet somebody random and for them to be like, you're gonna do something on me that's gonna be on me forever. They have to trust you to
1,000%.
Yeah, that's
1,000%.
crazy.
Which is gonna give a quick shout out to my homeboy, Wax Honcho.
Oh, shout out to Wax. That's my guy.
He was the first person that allowed me to tattoo him, and if it was not for that man, putting that trust in me and really saying, I believe in you, I know you could do this, it would have not turned into what it is right now.
Shout out to Wax.
And I'm a firm believer in that, so thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
You see, having people around you that actually support you and actually have trust in you could literally go a long way. Like, who knows? Who knows what could have happened if it wasn't him? You probably would have started a year later, 2 years later.
Yeah.
There'll be no black ink.
It probably would have not, exploded into what it did, because I was super scared. I was super scared. Mind you, I didn't necessarily give myself all that much training either. I spent one day tattooing on a banana, and I was like, I got this. And I tattooed myself, and I was like, oh shit, I really got this. Took a picture, put it on my Snapchat, Wax hit me up, and that shit took off. And that was just coming from every corner.
People were just like, yo, I need that. I need that.
Yeah.
So, do you believe anybody can be a tattoo artist, though? Like, truly, do you believe that this industry, this field is made for everybody?
No.
You don't think it's made for everybody?
No.
You think, so what do you think about it? So, what do you think the person has to go through? What do you think?
I think the person...
What kind of person does it have to be?
Not only, from the obvious within drawing and stuff like that, I feel like that's something that you can definitely learn, but you have to understand pain. You have to understand pain
That's
to
deep.
a very detailed level.
Okay.
Because if you don't, you're not going to reflect. You're not going to be able to show that person that you understand them, that you can synchronize with them, because that's super important. Every tattoo artist will sit there and tell you they have their clientele that comes back to them all the time. And it's not just because of how awesome you tattoo. It's literally the relationship. And the bond that they grow with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you have to have a very good understanding of pain, of emotional pain, of physical pain, of mental pain. That person, when they're sitting there, they're experiencing so many emotions. They feel pain, like the physical pain of getting the machine ran through them. They're also feeling the mental pain of, all right, now I have to have this patience to sit here and endure for whatever X amount of time to get this piece on me. And also the pain of insecurity. Because I don't know, for the first time, if you're tattooing me for the first time, I could see that your work is immaculate, but you haven't tattooed me yet.
For sure.
So I have to trust you. So the whole time I'm like, I hope they don't fuck this up. I hope they don't
for
mess
sure.
I hope they don't mess this up. But yeah, and yeah. Yeah, like I said, pain.
See, so you'd say somebody who wants to come into this industry has to have a deep understanding of not only art but pain in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What kind? You're like, yeah, but what kind of what do you have to go through to understand that type of pain though? What do you
experience? I know a lot of you guys know a little bit more about my story, but I also know people that understand me very well, and their storyline is different, but the pain depth is the same. You know, like they have gotten to a deep enough place in their minds, in their life, or just their environment, or whatever the case may be, collectively, that they are able to overcome that and think a certain way that someone that has not experienced that might not be thinking. You know?
Okay.
For you to sit there and cause someone pain and be able to do it thoroughly, and it's not just like if you're drawing on paper, you know, you're dragging a needle through skin. You can't go too deep. You have to know how deep you can go. You have to know when the ink is right. You know what I mean? When it's the skin is reacting, how fast it's swelling. You have to somehow have mercy for an individual because you're on a time clock. Once I start tattooing you, I have a certain time frame to work with that skin. If not, it won't even take the ink. You know,
Wow.
so that's just it all goes into play. It's a I feel like, in my opinion, you know, you have to have a certain level of understanding.
I never thought about tattooing in that way. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
right? It sounds so dramatic, but
It sounds
it
crazy.
really is. Yeah, it
wow.
really is. Even the sanitation thing is
Wow.
such a important. It's actually before the art is the sanitation.
That's
'Cause
crazy.
If I'm not wearing the proper gloves, or not the proper gloves, but
Proper equipment.
wearing, you know, gloves, if I'm not sanitizing with certain liquids, if I'm not cleaning the machine a certain way,
Cause an infection.
if I'm not using, you know, everybody has to use new needles. That's an obvious. I hope everyone's doing that. But, you know, even using new needles, and like the ink that I'm using, does it have, you know, any kind of metals in it, or is it vegan ink, or is it, you know, like all these things are super important, which is good to, you know, really do your research on your artist before you book an appointment. But yeah, it's pretty detailed,
Jesus.
to say the least.
You had me scared to be a tattoo artist. I was like, nah, I can't do that.
Never mind.
You're like pain. Yeah.
It's like when you're on Indeed and you're like thinking about it and you're like, damn, security. You're like, no, never mind. I can't tackle nobody over 300
Wow.
pounds.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just when I think about like a tattoo artist, personally, you know, I'm just a consumer. I don't have any tattoos, but I just think about an artist in general. So coming on this show, before I talked to you, I thought a tattoo artist just needed to know how to draw.
No.
That's literally that.
No,
that was literally
no.
my mindset on it. I was like, oh, once someone knows how to draw, all they need to do is know how to work with skin, and boom, they're a tattoo artist. But the way you explained it was so detailed, so intricate. I was like, wow, you have to be different, not only right here, but right here.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah. For you to reflect what's happening in your mind, I feel like art is an emotion. It's a part of your emotions, or part of a way to express your emotions.
Okay.
You know how, like you told me earlier, you used to write music. That's a way of you expressing yourself. Whatever you're writing down is genuine to who you are.
For sure.
You know, like you can read it and it's gonna bring you back to a certain time or a certain moment of your life. You know, being an artist is very much the same. People could be experiencing pain from a mental health perspective, or they could be super happy or super angry. And if they're creatives and they're creating what's happening in here, it shows.
For sure. And I feel like it's not going to be good if it's not actually genuine, if it's not really coming from a certain place.
Nope.
Like, because you have to tap into like what actually fuels you for it to be actually good, regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, remember, we were talking earlier about, you know, the whole hype and how insecurities create us to want to be like the next person rather than an original version of ourselves. It's a lot of that. Like, if you're not really tapped in with what it is that you're doing, it's going to be a momentary type of thing.
For sure. It's going to be temporary.
Yes. And a lot of people go to the extent of getting, you know, licenses and certifications and diplomas, and then later on they're just like, oh,
I don't want to do this.
I really didn't want to be a nurse. Like,
That's a big one
I
too.
really didn't want to be a scientist. Or, oh, damn, I don't really like working with veins and stuff, you know? Like, how many people are women specifically are medical assistants?
Everyone.
Just because it pays the bills.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that each and every one of those girls, maybe a percentage know how to do hair super fire. And they love doing it. Maybe another percentage are great with kids. You know, or like, and it just...
And they never had the confidence.
Think, exactly. It starts to make you think, like, why did you choose where you're at if that's not really what fuels you?
Complacency. And I feel like for people like that, it's complacency, it's parents, it's outside stereotypes, outside influences. Stereotypes. It's like, there's a lot of people in this world that I realize it's like they're really impressionable. So like when somebody tells them something about themselves, they're gonna go and do it because that person said it, not because they genuinely feel that specific way about it. It's like, I guess having your own, you know, having a strong mind, I guess, is not as common as you would think.
No.
Like,
no. And you can be strong-minded with certain things and not others.
For sure. I can see that.
Because I'm definitely your crybaby when it comes to relationships. Like, but when it comes to this hustle stuff,
you tapped in.
Super on top of it.
Tapped in.
I'm tunnel vision. You
know. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Who have you met? Like, I know you're in New York now. You know, you stay in New York. You're part of the Black AIM crew. Who have you met that was like, when you seen them, you're like, wow, that's... You know what I'm saying? That's so-and-so. That's like, I see you on TV.
Yeah, it for sure for me was Caesar. Meeting Caesar. And I met Caesar the first day. Like, he had told me, he was like, you know, hit me up when this COVID stuff is kind of, you know, like, low, you know, simmered down a little bit because everything was super crazy when we were in communication. And then eventually, once I saw that he was posting about the shop and stuff, I was like, boom, you know, I was on it. And he was like, all right, cool, come through. I'm like, all right, what time, what day, like, what do we, you know, we created the schedule, whatever. And I show up, and in my head, I'm like, you know, maybe I'm going to meet, like, the manager or something of the shop, and, you know, I'm not going to meet him. Like, it's just going to be, like, an interview type of thing. And come to realize, I walk into the shop, and here's this man walking right in front of me.
Caesar.
Yeah.
Just
I've been
chilling.
watching this guy my whole life. And I'm like, okay, this is really happening. And it wasn't until... You know, he pulled my mentor, Swiss. His Instagram is Swiss Premium, Swiss.premium. Something along those lines. I will definitely make sure that he is tagged into this whole situation. But, you know, he pulled over my mentor and he told him, you want an apprentice? And he was like, he looked at me. He was looking at my work. And they shook my hand and... It was history from there.
Do you think your style played a part, though, in getting the job? Like, do you think, obviously, you know, your talent speaks for itself, but do you think they looked at the way you carry yourself, the way you were, and was like, you legit fit the profile because of the way you look? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see the crew, and I see you in there. Like, you're just right there. You know what I'm saying?
She fits.
yeah, like, you're right there.
Yeah, and I definitely would say that it plays a part, you know? Especially when you meet somebody in person, everybody, you know, the first impression is super important.
Sure.
With everyone that you come across. So when you see this person that you know, probably consider a pretty girl, and you see that her work has some type of potential, and then you meet her in person and you see that she's really about what she says she's about.
She's about it,
it's like,
for sure.
Solid. You know? It's first time representation is super big.
Every time I think about Caesar, I think about that meme. Like, I can't stop thinking about that meme. That meme was crazy. I'm a link it in the video so you guys can watch it.
Yeah, he does that face in real life, by the way.
He does that face in real life.
He's
like... So he's as animated in real life as he is on the show?
Yeah, he's very much himself. Yeah, he's super genuine to who he is. Like, if he feels that, his facial expression will be like...
Times 30.
Yeah, like he's super expressive, and that's dope. Everyone that I work around is like very true to who they are, to the T. Like, unapologetically, like, you can't catch no type of offense to it because that's just
how they are.
What they feel, how they feel, and acceptance.
And that should be like, pretty sure it is like is a dope surrounding, like being around
It's super fire.
that type of people, like
Yeah,
those
yeah,
type
yeah.
of people.
It's super fire. Everybody there can relate, to the whole pain thing that I spoke about. They are where they are, and they are unapologetically themselves because of
Their story.
what they were structured to. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like this is who they are. They went through whatever so and so to be here. So I have my story, they all have their own stories. And it's beautiful because every single one of us busted our ass to be where we at. So we're able to relate when it comes to that, and like unite and feel super solid as a foundation to be able to be a voice, because it's not just tattooing or
It's a lifestyle.
It's definitely a lifestyle.
I can see that. So we're gonna go back to mindset.
Yes.
This is a question I love to ask all my guests because I feel like this question I'm about to ask you right now gives the most value. That's kind of the point of the show, is to give people watching the most value as they possibly can. And the question is, what was your greatest failure? And when I ask this question again, it's not what was the greatest L as in loss, what was the greatest L as in lesson. So what was the greatest failure?
My biggest lesson and my biggest failure was not appreciating life the way I should have. My biggest lesson was being alive and knowing that I am.
Okay.
Like a lot of people just kind of go day by day. They work their 9 to 5. They have their routine, and then that's it. They die like that. Like that's just the life that they live.
Exactly.
401k, and then you settled. You know what I mean? A Toyota, and you're good. Like no.
I mean, I got a Toyota. Relax.
I have a Toyota too. Don't get me wrong.
I'm joking.
But I'm still, we still hustling. And we still
Exactly.
doing our thing. We're mindful enough to be like, we want more. There's a reason why we're here, and we have to experience that. We have to spread our wings and go through that. And that wasn't something that I was doing before.
So you were stagnant, complacent.
Yes, I was definitely. What mattered to me was very much what was common, or what was like, like if there was a trend, I would think about that. If there was like, I see that girls are all going to the club and all being friends and da. I see that they're all dressed a certain way and all this other stuff.
I'm gonna go dress like that.
Ooh, what if, Then eventually it wasn't through my experiences that I started to understand what being original really meant, and what being humble really meant. You know what I mean? What being kind really meant, and what being alive primarily meant. Just because you're alive, you have a pulse, doesn't mean that you could just walk around and spread the day thin. You know what I mean? Like,
doesn't mean you're actually
every
living.
Day counts. Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. You have to make every day count. Doesn't mean like, oh my God, that you have to run around and do the most. But just if you had a good day and you did what you genuinely wanted to do, you feel content. You go to bed at night and you can say, wow, like I'm happy. That's super important. Super duper important.
I'd say, like, for the people listening, like, if you have a growth mindset, which everybody should be striving to have, you should be learning something new literally every day, at least one thing. So those little things that you learn eventually are going to turn into bigger things, and then it becomes a habit, and over time, your mindset just expands. You shouldn't go to sleep and lay your head on your pillow at night if you're not learning something new. So your goal should be to learn at least one new thing. In 24 hours, well, take out 8, like 16 hours, you should be able to learn at least one new thing every single day.
Yeah, you have to definitely explore who it is that you are, and know what you as you wants to read, or what you as you wants to listen to, or what you as you wants to see, because that's what you're manifesting.
And that's what actually matters.
Yeah, that's what matters. You're opening your mind, you're losing, that ignorance that I was talking about, where, it's just lack of knowledge.
Do it for you.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Gotta do it for you. What do you struggle with now, though? Like, what do you struggle with now?
I would say right now, I struggle with, I want to expand my horizons, but patience is something that I have to constantly reteach myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'll have a certain, tolerance for patience for this, and then I'll get past that and reach this, and then I want to, like, like run through it, and it's like life is like, nah, sis, you still gonna have to put in work to get through this one too.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, you still gotta put in that little work into it, and then just pushing through and pushing through and pushing through. I feel like my biggest struggle though is slowing down, and like for it to be okay to slow down.
For it to be okay to slow down.
I was told by my therapist that I'm using my animal brain. I didn't even know what the hell that was. Like,
you gotta elaborate, yeah.
I'm not an animal. I mean, I know that much, but she said to me, your animal brain is your survival skills. When I went through cancer, I was on survival mode, and I shifted into that. Some people don't. Some people get super deep into it and they go crazy, like crying and stuff like that. And it wasn't until after my recovery that I had already gone through my bone marrow transplant and all that stuff that I broke down. That's when all the crying came along, the postpartum, the post-transplant depression, like even suicidal thoughts. Like it was super duper 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 deep. So yeah. That definitely is what it was.
As a woman though, what do you think your superpower is? Like as a woman. Like what do you think your superpower is as a woman?
As a woman?
Yeah, like your superpower. You sit back and think about it, like I'm really that shorty.
I would say making miracles happen.
In terms of your art or just in general?
In terms of specifically my experience, it showed me that I, as a vessel, can bring out miraculous things.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
In general.
Yes.
So you as a vessel can bring out
miraculous things in general. I would say general because I feel like with my artwork, like I said, my passion and my love for it definitely reflects, and I find it miraculous that people are super like, wow, like super just like, they look at me as this thing that it's like, this is huge,
Mm-hmm.
but also as a mother, like that is right there, just being able to give birth.
Different.
That's super different, especially through what I went through, and I was still able to give birth to a perfectly healthy little girl with no type of problems.
You're here for a
reason.
reason.
Have no type of, she's completely healthy, like completely healthy, went through chemotherapy and everything.
That's crazy.
In my body, this vessel was able to hold it down and create life. So
wow.
that like I said, yeah. that's definitely my biggest thing.
That's really deep. So lay down that night, when you think about life or think about your journey in general, who would you consider one of your biggest influences?
I have a few, but as far as motivating through life and acceptance of who you are and staying raw and true to who you are, and always staying 10 toes down and on top of what it is that you're trying to do, being goal oriented and, like I said, motivated, I would say it's Kai. I don't know if you know who she is.
Kai Rodriguez?
Yes, Kai Rodriguez. She's a photographer out here in the city, and her platform is beautiful. I see the interactions that she has with her clients as a photographer, and she's like a phenomenon of so many different things that she does. She does photography for pregnant women, she does photography for children, she does photography for families, for sweet 15s, for weddings. Like, this woman literally captures so many memories. She's a part of so many memories. And remember how I was saying that as a tattoo artist, what's most important to me is the memories that I'm creating with my clients. And she is a huge part as to why I think that way.
Okay.
because she was able to elaborate for me a lot of what her daily routine is like, and the love and the passion behind it, what how it fuels her, how she wouldn't be who she is today if it wasn't for her believing in herself and loving herself enough to excel. And she, was my she was like my life coach, still is in so many ways. We're still very much super close. Um, my life coach, but she was also my trainer. Like I went through my PTSD postpartum period after, going through cancer and giving birth, and I got overweight. I gained some weight and I did keto, and I was in a really bad place, and she's someone that,
Help bring you out of that bad
helped
place.
completely take me out of that. Like, she was like, no, we're gonna wake up every day, and she had me out and about working my ass
And you need
off.
people like that around you.
Absolutely. I I just, everything just kind of turned, when she came into my life, and I'm forever grateful. Forever grateful. It'll always be something that I reflect, because as an influence, for us to find people that we can be close to on a day-to-day basis that give us that type of influence, it's special and it's rare.
Really rare.
Really rare. Like, you can, for example, look at Will Smith and be like, wow, this man makes me want to be, like him, like be influential and do this and do that, but that's someone you've never spoken to.
For sure.
Not a lot of people can say that they've had a conversation and sat with him and watched him on a day-to-day basis do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that. I'm able to say that. I'm able to say that I know that I've been able to live and breathe the same air of a massive part as to why and where I am today.
And it's like, I feel like a lot of people don't, like, a lot of people in this, not in this generation, but in life in general, they're trying to sabotage you, not help you.
Yes.
So, like, and I feel like when you have certain people around you, like, that are, thorough, that are genuine, authentic,
Yes,
you
it's
gotta
a
hold them.
huge level of selflessness, which is, again, it's all like a repeated thing that I've
Exactly.
been saying, but me being humble enough to be mindful of everybody that's around me and wanting good for them as I want for myself, it's extremely important, because it's what makes you influential.
Exactly. Like, you need to want to see somebody else flourish in order for yourself to actually flourish.
Exactly. Like, not that you're gonna get super consumed with helping everybody out, and that's, she's also an empath. So it's something that, like, if she sees someone in pain, it will pain her too.
Penetrates
you know what I
her,
mean?
for
Yes,
sure.
because she's someone who understands pain, and she's someone who knows what it is to hustle on your own and believe in yourself, and she's had a huge support system too, you know what I mean, with her family and stuff like that. But like I said, it takes a lot of self-love to be able to take that step, because as much influence as you may have around you, as much love as you may have around you, if you're not the one that says I'm going to do it, it's not going to happen.
How does one build self-love, though? Like, how do you build up your confidence?
I don't think it, I mean,
What advice can you give to the people for,
I don't think it's something that should be taken as a material. It's definitely, there's a lot of things that you have to build within yourself to get to that understanding of what it is, what self-love means. Because a lot of people will look at self-love as like, oh, I'm gonna go do my hands, and I'm gonna go do my toes, and I'm gonna go do my hair, and I'm gonna do my,
It's
facial.
basically subjective. That's what you're trying to say.
People materialize it. A lot of people materialize it, and that's what keeps that whole stereotype and trends, and it gets super deep. But it's your mindset. It's the experiences that you go through. Because let's say, for example, you're dating someone that tells you that you're fat every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When you break up with that person, you're not going to want to feel like that anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your own pain will put you into that animal brain to change that about yourself. Because you don't want to be that person anymore.
I could see that.
You don't want somebody else to look at you and be like, oh, well, you're fat. And in the moment, a lot of people could say, oh, that's the wrong reason to do things, but you're taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? You're losing the weight. You're getting healthy, and at that point, it doesn't go into, oh, you know, this person is gonna like me more because I've lost weight. Now you're gonna think about, oh, I need to do this for myself because this is how I feel great.
And I feel like
self-maintenance. You know what I
for
mean?
sure. And I feel like that's what a lot of people struggle with as well. It's like a lot of people are doing things for the sake of other people and not for the sake of themselves.
Exactly.
And it's like when you do something that's, you know, positive for yourself, yes, your partner could point it out, but do it for yourself, not for them. Because at the end of the day, it's like you should be working to build self, not build self because of another person.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Exactly.
I'm going to transition to the game that I play. It's called Say That. I'm going to say a word or a phrase, and you just blurt out the first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh, I love doing this. I love this. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Yep.
It's going to be just a word or a phrase, so
okay.
you just say whatever comes to your mind.
All right.
You can't think too much.
All right. Damn. All right.
All right. So let's start it off. Let's do community.
Life.
Art.
Love.
Tattoos.
Shit. I'm going to use the same word. Passion.
Black Ink Crew.
Future.
Caesar.
Damn, I'm overthinking it.
You just gotta say what comes to your head.
Influence.
Black Lives Matter.
Future. Again. I don't want to say the same word again, but definitely future.
Let's say something else.
Family.
Kin.
Me, myself, and I. That's one word, by the way. Beyonce said so.
Confidence.
Self-love.
Passion.
Understanding.
Rock with that. Fast and Drip.
The future of the youth.
And the Overall Drip Experience podcast.
For you? Literally, for you. Because the podcast is something that you're doing for the people. It's not for yourself. You're doing it so people can experience with you.
For sure.
You know, and have the experience.
So, rock with that.
So I wanted to ask you a question. I see that you're wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirt. It's super fire, by the way. Did you create it yourself?
My graphic designer behind the camera, shout out to J Ray's Designs. He created the logos. He created the design. It's fire.
Word. So I'm hearing that you have this mural that you're trying to create on Lawrence Street, which is super, like, it's, you know, groundbreaking. It's a start in history, you know what I mean?
For sure,
for Lawrence, and
for
just
sure.
like the colored community itself. Like, explain it to me, because I haven't heard anything, you know what I mean? I've seen you posting about it, but I haven't gotten to speak to you about any of this. It's the first time I'm meeting
I can see
you,
that.
so.
So we basically got approved to paint the Black Lives Matter street mural on Lawrence Street, and all we're looking for is donations. So guys, anything literally helps. $5, $10, $20, anything. I'm gonna put
repost.
A repost, definitely. So our previous goal was 4,000. Now, because we looked at the materials, we got a quote from Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever, and they said it's gonna be around $10,000. So we need everybody to come together and donate what you can. No matter, the amount doesn't matter, just pitch in anything you can. That's all we ask for.
That's light work. You guys just have to put in love into it.
And the link is gonna be in my bio and down below in the video, in the comment section, and in the description. And again, it's BASTIENDRÜP, the flyest in the city, aka the young intellectual.
Your favorite tattoo artist, Kin.
Black Ink. Meow. Before you guys leave, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Subscribe. Don't forget to follow at KINDEE Sins. It is what it is. Don't forget to follow BASTIENDRÜP. At the end of the day, it's BASTIENDRÜP, the flyest in the city, aka the young intellectual.
And I'm Kin, your favorite tattoo artist.
And we out.